It's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the 4-4 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcon. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the 4-4. This for the 4-4. This for the 4-4.
All right, everybody, welcome back here. It is week 4. Live from the Crow's Nest. This is the time of the show where we're going to thank Dan Sposito and the Crow's Nest for sponsoring this year's show right here live on location. And if you want good wings, you want good pasta, if you want something good to eat, this is the spot to come down and check it out. I'll tell you what, besides all the good food here, this Friday we had a lot of great football. Some teams had a much tougher Friday than others, but our player of the week this week certainly did not have a tough week, going out there 22-3, the final score in that one, as the St. John Heralds get their first win of the year against the Beechwood Bison in a rainy, cold monster of a game. And without any further ado, we're going to get our week 3 player of the week. It's Ryan Williams who's going to join the show. You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. And there he is. Ryan Williams this week goes 16 carries, 105 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns, a 2-point conversion, and a tackle for loss. You were busy this week on Friday, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
So when you got out there, you know, you guys have had obviously a tougher start to the season than I think anybody would have wanted. But, you know, you guys kept your head down, got it ready to go. You know, as you're getting ready, you know you're going to carry the ball because the rain was pouring. Did you have to change your mindset, or were you just ready to go anyway?
I was ready to go. I think we had to switch up our game plan a little bit. We definitely wanted to get a few of our guys out in space, but obviously in a cold, rainy one like that, it's going to be tough to throw the ball. So had to utilize the run game, big boys up front, got great pushes, and really helped us move the ball downfield.
Yeah, and you know what? You talk about the big boys up front. You guys certainly have just that, an absolute monster line that you get to run behind. This year, averaging right around 6.5 yards per carry. That's a far cry from last year. What is the biggest difference with this line? Do you just have some time to get a couple steps?
Yeah, I mean, obviously bringing the 2 guys over from Lakeside have definitely helped and have showed some of our guys some things that they know. And if you guys, you know, put the work in the off season in, getting bigger in the weight room and being able to move people, and it certainly helped.
Yeah, so, you know, one of the big things when you have a rainy game like that, and obviously it got you a couple times. I don't think you fumbled. I know that the ball was going all over the place, but, you know, what are some of the things you do to make sure you're securing that ball, because it tends to get free in that kind of environment?
Yeah, just cover both tips, make sure you're holding on to the ball through contact, keeping it secure, and, you know, if you got to lose a couple yards to keep that ball, and, you know, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one right there. You know, you're not just a part of the rushing game over here at St. John. You also play a part in the receiving game as well. You know, it's been said that you've got the best hands for a big man out there in the county. Is that something you're working on in the offseason, or do you naturally just have good palms?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, Coach Bento likes to throw the ball a lot, so definitely need to be able to catch the ball if you're playing for the St. John Heralds.
Yeah, so, you know, in the backfield back there, you get to run a lot more this year, but, you know, you're catching the ball. Which one do you like more? You like those screen passes where you can get out there and lay headaches, or do you like to run in between the tackle and ruin a linebacker's day?
Yeah, there's nothing like running the ball and playing smash mouth football. For sure.
3 yards and a cloud of dust. So, you get to play on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you had a tackle for loss in that game as well, manning the middle. And as the senior this year, I think a lot of guys are going to be looking to you, especially the man in the middle, to kind of read that offense and that sort of thing. Do you spend a lot of time looking over film, working with your coaches, trying to learn tendencies?
Yeah, I mean, having Coach Fry this year has definitely helped. He labels all of our film, and it definitely helps you to prepare for a game like that. With having a coach like that to be able to talk to before the game definitely gets you ready to go for sure.
So what'd you do to stay warm in that one, man? Because it was cold. It was cold. It was rainy, or was it just the fact that you were so active? Is that what kept you going?
Yeah, I mean the adrenaline. You can't even tell when you're playing. You don't even know it's cold outside.
So, you come in this year, you're a 4-year letter winner for this football program, taking on a bigger role. I think you knew you were going to take on a big role coming into this year, but, going from that junior year to that senior year, it's a year of transition. A lot of people take leadership and that sort of thing. What were some of the things you were looking to make sure you got accomplished coming in this year as the senior on this football team?
Definitely just the team chemistry, had some new starters out there this year for sure. So just being able to work as a unit and get it done as a team, that was the biggest goal heading into the season for sure.
What were some of the things that you did in the offseason to kind of prep? Whether it was, I know you got the name the Quad God, so you spent quite a bit of time in the gym. But what are some of the other things you did to make sure Ryan Williams was out there bashing in helmets?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the weight room is a big part of the off season, but just going to all the summer workouts this year for sure. We had our most guys at summer workouts in June and July, so that definitely helps. Being in the weight room, doing conditioning in the summer, and getting ready for the season for sure.
Now, as a senior, do you feel like you played a part? You've got quite a few seniors on this team, but you guys did have a really good number of kids who were coming to the non-mandatory stuff, making sure they're getting in there. Was that something that you, as a group of seniors, or you just as an individual, told these younger guys, if we want to get better, you got to be here?
Yeah, I mean, day one, June 1st, made a group chat with everybody that was planning on playing and said, hey, get out to the workouts. Definitely helps for sure. Getting to condition, getting into the weight room.
Now, in the off season, outside of spending time in the gym and that sort of thing, what are some of the other sports that you take part in?
Baseball.
Yeah. I'd say you play a little bit of baseball. So how do you think that kind of translates with football, whether it's the competitive edge or just seeing, guys that were playing at a top level? Because you've been a travel ball player. You've played at a very high level for a long time.
Yeah, just being disciplined, wanting to win, being around your teammates all the time, and just things like that. Just the little things that get you prepared to compete in any kind of sport.
Yeah, when you guys go out there and you play baseball, one of the things with baseball is it's a long season. In Ohio, baseball is seemingly like a 10-month sport, which sometimes can put you a little bit behind. Do you find that that's what happens with you, or are you keeping your mind to keep that body ready?
Yeah, just preparing all year. The Severinos have that cage down in the shop on over there on whatever street it is, West 51st or whatever. But yeah, definitely just hitting year round, staying prepared, and just getting ready for the season all year.
So, you had a big game against Beechwood. You guys have a big game coming up this week against a very, very talented Steubenville Catholic Central. Now, they have to make the 2-hour trek this way this year. So what are some of the things that you want to make sure you get accomplished and give them a welcome to the shores of Lake Erie?
Yeah, I mean, they do a lot of things right. That's what they did. They did that last year, too. They don't do anything special. They just do it right. So everybody's just doing their assignments this week and getting done what they need to get done is definitely what's going to make us succeed.
So, you play on offense, you play on defense. Which one do you like doing more?
There's nothing like scoring a touchdown. There's no feeling like that.
So, in the backfield this year, you get joined by another senior and another guy that I'm pretty sure you're pretty familiar with, as you guys have played not just football but baseball together forever, and Will Anderson, who was a standout, a phenomenal receiver, going back there to help you out with the halfback role. Was that something that took a little bit of getting used to, or were you guys just ready to go right off the gate?
Yeah, I mean, having a bigger line this year and running the ball more, obviously, being able to utilize two guys out of the backfield it's huge. And, there's, times where I'm blocking for him, he's blocking for me. We're opening holes for each other. So it's it's great. It's so fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, most of the time when you have a two-back set like that, I always call it the thunder and lightning effect. You've got the boomer and the zoomer, but you guys both seem to like to block for each other. It works out well, including that, that 20-yarder that Anderson runs into the end zone against Beechwood. I saw you lay somebody flat on their back. So, coming up, you've got obviously the Steubenville Central or Catholic Central game. What are some of the other games that you're really, really hyped up for? I know one in particular that is stamped, sealed, and ready to go at St. John.
Yeah, Fairport. For sure. Definitely Fairport. Can't wait for that game. In the Skipper Dome, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Last year you guys played in a torrential downpour, and it was a little bit tougher for you guys. I don't know that that's going to make such a huge difference this year.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Bring it on. It worked against Beechwood. So that'll be a fun one for sure.
So what are some things, before I let you go, what are some things that you want to get accomplished this year, your final high school year of football?
It'd be awesome to make the playoffs. It'd be the first time in, 6 years? And
yeah,
that'd be awesome. Bring it back to the St. John and go to the playoffs and hopefully maybe win a playoff game.
I'll tell you what, that's a heck of a goal right there. It's playoff talk over here at St. John. I'll tell you what, this week's player of the week, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Williams, the bulldozer himself.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. We're going to go to a quick word from some of our sponsors, and then when we come back, we will head through the stat leaders this week. Let me give you guys a heads up on this one. We are going to have rushing. We will have passing. We will have receiving. We will have tackles released. The rest of the defensive stats are glitched out right now. We're still waiting on a couple last-minute additions, so we're going to get those added before we release them. We will allow the tackles out for the defensive side this one. We're going to go to a quick word from our sponsors. My name is Sam Torres. Ladies and gentlemen, this is for the 440.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well, connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
All right, everybody, welcome back here to the Crow's Nest. Once again, want to send a huge shout out to Dan Sposito and Sposito Insurance for sponsoring this year's show, as well as the Crow's Nest for having us, and Ronix for sponsoring those hoodies that you're going to get to see every single week. It was a heck of a week of football. I got the chance to call the St. John game as they grabbed their first win of the year, coming in a big rainstorm there in Beechwood. It was very, very cold. I'll tell you what, we had a lot of games that were pushed later in, including the Edgewood game. I know for a fact that started about half hour later. You know, our friends down in the Youngstown area, a lot of those games getting pushed due to weather. Fall is here in full effect. I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a huge issue this week, as I think we're topping out around 84 degrees on Friday night. But if you ever have any questions about the weather, you want to go download the 21 Storm Tracker app. And that one is going to let you know what weather you're going to have and what's going on all the way from Ashtabula to the Valley. They're going to keep you up to date. And that is exactly what you need to do for some of these games. I'll tell you what, it was an absolute cold one out there. Let's talk about some of the results from last week. And we'll bring that up right now. So we'll start up at the top. I'll tell you what, it was a rough one for the Lakeside Dragons as they go out there and drop to the Niles Red Dragons 6-26. Niles Red Dragons, sorry, that is an incorrect. They are actually 1-2 going into this week, so we'll have to get that updated. They go into this one. That's their first win of the year. Pretty big losses early in the season to a very good Howland team as well as Holy Cross. But the name of the game in that one is turnovers. That's the one that really bit them. You know, getting a chance to talk to head coach Terry Henton in that one, it was mistakes. Those are the ones that are going to keep you up at night. You've got a couple fumbles. There's a safety in that game. It wasn't the style. It wasn't the brand of football that Lakeside wanted to get. And Niles, to their credit, jumped on every single mistake that Lakeside made in that game. We're going to talk about it a lot more on Wednesday when we go live from Los Compadres for the Lake Show. We'll sit down with head coach Terry Henton as well as their Dragon Player of the Week and Scout Team Player of the Week. Moving right along, we're going to go over to the Edgewood Warriors. Now, the Edgewood Warriors are going to drop this game 13-22 to the Harvey Red Raiders. This one, it was a great game from the beginning all the way to the end. But Sean Alston for the Paynesville Red Raiders went out and got busy in that one. Now, Edgewood made a pretty big comeback there at the end, trying to get some touchdowns there, but it just falls short. They run out of time. The Red Raiders grabbed their first big win of the year in that one. Riley Baldwin, though, if you remember last week, I talked about his ability, did go up and get himself a touchdown in that one. Moving on to our next game, it's the Conneaut Spartans, and they are another team that had a tough game. 26-51 as they drop this one to Berkshire. It was a first half of football that would keep most coaches up, and Coach Rocco Dobrin will be the first to admit this one. Fumbles, getting rid of the ball, penalties, that sort of thing. It was 30-0 before you knew it. And Conneaut, they keep on their grind. They keep going to it, getting some points on the board there. But Berkshire had just created such a huge deficit that it was really too much for them to climb up and grab. So Conneaut does fall 1-2, after falling to the Berkshire Badgers. St. John, they go out there and they're going to win their first one of the year, 22-3 to the Beechwood Bison. And for this game in particular, we've got some highlights and we're going to listen to them right now. Shout out to Matt Marr and ysnlive.com for putting this together. He is going to be back there to receive it, Jonathan Owens. Got rid of it. Calling for the fair catch, and he drops it, and the Heralds are going to come up with it. Will Anderson. And he broke the plane good for a 1-yard run. Ryan Williams scores a St. John Herald's touchdown. They're going to give it to Will Anderson, who breaks the plane. Good for 2, and the Heralds have brought the lead up to 5. Dropping back. He's got a man. It's a screen pass underneath. Gets around the first tackler, and he drops the ball again. And that's going to be a fumble. Hands it off to the big man, and guess what? He's in there for a Herald's touchdown! And guess what? It's back to Ryan Williams, and in for 2. It's good. In the backfield with Narducci. He's going to hold on to it. Gets around one defender, gets around another. And guess what, folks? He's in there for another Herald's touchdown. And they line up in that victory formation, folks. And that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Your winners tonight, the St. John Heralds, with a final score of 22-3. So as you can see in that one, the Heralds get things going early and then finish it off in the fourth quarter of that game. You know, it was a good game for the Heralds, but one that, you know, the head coaches and all the coaches on that staff are going to be talking about today on Monday. They had a couple snafus, we'll call them, early in the game, including a long onside kick and a punt return that almost was really a problematic as they let that one roll away. But St. John's able to pick themselves up after those two mistakes, dust themselves off, get into the end zone, and the defense was absolutely lights out in this one. Fumbles, sacks, tackles for loss. They spent more time in the backfield than Beechwood did, and that's why they're going to win that one 22-3. Moving on to our next game, it's going to be the Pymatuning Valley Lakers, as they're going to win over the Jefferson Falcons 34-6. And this is one of those games that, you know, I think weather really, really played a part in. I think that the PV Lakers, you know, no pun intended, but they do best when it's wet outside. If they can keep it on the ground and keep you from being able to throw the ball, that's where they're going to live, and that's exactly what they did when they took on the Jefferson Falcons this week. You go out there, Ryan Croston has around 200 yards. Ty Vickery has around 200 yards. Those guys are going to be the leaders this year this week when we release the stat leaders. Both of those guys well over 400 yards through just 3 weeks of football. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what Coach Croston did out there. He let the big guys do the play or do what they had to do. Open up the holes for Vickery and Croston. They made some really big plays on offense, but also made some big plays on defense. Really, really getting into that backfield for Jefferson, staying on top of wide receivers, because even with the rain, you still had Jefferson out there trying to get some passes off, but the push that PV got up front made that even more difficult. So they go out there 34-6, and the PV Lakers, ladies and gentlemen, have started off 3-0 this year. They've got a tough one this week, as they are going to host the Rootstown Rovers at PV on Friday. And we'll talk about that one here in just a little bit. And then I feel bad, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about another heartbreaker for the Grand Valley Mustangs, as they go out there and they drop this one by just 3 points to the Cardinal Huskies in an absolute slobber knocker of a game. Soltis was doing his thing. Goforth was doing his thing. The Grand Valley Mustangs did everything right except that final quarter is the one that came up and got them. And this is a team that is very, very much improved. Grand Valley had a tough start last year. I do not believe that they are going to go 0-10 this year. I think this is a team that has shown that they can score. Their defense has shown the ability to keep people out of the end zone. It just got away from them a little bit in this one. And make no mistakes about it, the Cardinal Huskies are 2-1. That's a solid football program that they got going on over there in Geauga County. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming games this week, and we've got a full slate. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to miss a single one of them, as they're all going to be on ysnlive.com. Every single one of these games is going to be covered. I will let you know who the announcers are as we make our way through the list. Make sure you tune in on Fridays at 3 o'clock for the Super Show on YSN Live, where we go through and we're going to pick all the games on the network for that weekend. All right, the Lakeside Dragons, who come into this week 1-2, they're going to be taking on West Geauga. West Geauga is 3-0 and a very, very good team. Sorry, a little bit of a graphical error there. A very good West Geauga team. Lakeside looking for some bounce back here. You know, they've got the yards. I think that they've got to worry about taking some of those mistakes and keeping them from happening. If they can keep the ball out of the defense's hand, then I think Lakeside's got a really good shot at this one. Edgewood going to be hosting Hawken in this one. And this is one I feel pretty confident in Edgewood's ability to win this ball game. They ran into some weather. They had a tough game on Friday. Harvey's Sean Alston is just a phenomenal running back. I think made a huge difference. It was his first game back, so impossible to game plan around something like that. But this year, Edgewood knows what they're getting with Hawken. I think you're going to get a lot of Nate Stewart. I think you're going to get a lot of Riley Baldwin. I think this Edgewood team is going to go out there. They're going to put points on the board this week, and the defense steps up. This one is going to be an interesting one as well. Conneaut versus Orange. Conneaut versus Orange, and Orange is 3-0 right now. And Orange is a team that I think has surprised a lot of people. And not only are they 3-0, they're scoring around 50 points a game. This is a team that can really, really play football. And I'm gonna be keeping my eyes on this one. You can catch this one on WOW TV right here on ysnlive.com. The announcer for the Lakeside and the West Geauga game is going to be myself. The Edgewood Hawken game is going to be Larry Jennings, and he's going to be joined by Tony Hall, who's going to be coming into the booth with him this week. Jefferson and Harvey. Harvey goes out there, gets a big win on Edgewood. I think now that there's some tape on Sean Alston and this Harvey offense, I really feel confident in Jefferson's ability to go out and get their first win of the year. Jefferson has had a tough outing so far, 0-3, but there's some real talent on that team. Dylan Burlingham, one of the best quarterbacks in the area. He can flat out sling it. Terry Brown is an over-the-top nightmare. I'm not sure how you guard that guy. Cage Bozar is one of the best athletes, if not the best athlete in the area. They've got Matthew Webster, who has solidified the run game for them. Look for Jefferson to get things back on track this week. St. John heading against Steubenville Catholic. Now, they're going to be hosting them. This is a big game right here. This is a temperature gauge game for the Heralds on this one. Steubenville Catholic Central. Don't call them Central Catholic. You will get yelled at. They're a quality team in 2-1, but this is a team that lost a lot of seniors from last year. St. John made the trek all the way down to Steubenville last year. They've got to come up here this year. And that travel, whether you want to believe it or not, always plays a big part. St. John is looking for their first Saturday game of the year, building off of their first win of the year. Look for a lot of Ryan Williams. Look for Narducci to throw that thing. Look for Anderson to make some plays. Grayson Petros getting in the backfield, messing up quarterbacks' afternoons. They're going to be looking for a lot of these guys to make the big plays where St. John can get their season going heading into week 5, 2-2. Pymatuning Valley going to be hosting Rootstown. Rootstown 1-2. And I think you can look for PV to take this one and run away with it. I really do. I think PV is one of the best teams in this area. I think they've got one of the best rushing attacks that you're going to find in this region. PV is going to, and they've got to go to PV. And if you've never heard that crowd, PV gets loud. Everybody is excited. Thunder sticks, cowbells, crowd yells, whatever it is, PV's going to do it. So that's going to be a big one. On that call is going to be Chad Paul, and it's going to be Chad Paul and Rob Vickery on that one. On the Jefferson call, it's going to be Scott Demos jumping on the call for Jefferson, who has done just a phenomenal job this year as the voice of the Falcons. And I'm looking forward to him getting to call this game this week, as I think the Jefferson Falcons are going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then Grand Valley and Warren JFK. You talk about games where you can really start your season. For the Grand Valley Mustangs, this is the one. Warren JFK is coming off of a 2-point loss to LeBray on Saturday. So the method has been shown. If Grand Valley can get out there and they can play their brand of football, I don't see why the Mustangs don't come out with their first win in grand fashion over a huge, amazingly talented program in Warren JFK. It's going to be Tyler Hartz on the call for that one, your voice of the Mustangs. All right, everybody. So that is the games for this week. And now It's time for the stat leaders. All right, everybody, as we get it started, it's time for this week's Ashtabula County YSN stat leaders. Now, leading the way this week is Conneaut's Colby Stiltner. He's got 390 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So he wants to get that ratio a little bit better. But, throwing the ball all around the yard. Coach Rocco Dobrin was talking early in the season that this year they were going to have to throw the ball. And they've got some big-time play coming from guys like Ryan Turner, who moves over from the offensive line position to the tight end position, and he's made all the difference in the world. He's got 10 catches already this year. He's a big part of that Spartan offense. Second is going to be Nate Stewart over there at Edgewood, 31 for 57. He's got 347 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for the Edgewood Warriors junior quarterback. Jefferson's Dylan Burlingham still holding up in third place with 322 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. St. John's Vin Narducci, 245 yards. But here's the big one. The ratio, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, has not given that ball back to the defense, and that's played a big part in him, keeping St. John in these ball games. And I think that's what they're looking for from him, is more just efficient quarterback play. They've got a wide receiving core that anybody would want to play with, an offensive line that's going to give you plenty of time. I can't wait to see how this one goes this week on Saturday. Matt Wagner still leading the pack over for Lakeside, 12 for 16, 110 yards. Ryan Croston, 3 for 6 with 100 yards. And Sammy Goforth, 7 for 16 with 45 yards. Now it's time to talk about the rushing leaders, and just how I said earlier in the show, it's going to be PV at the top times 2. Ty Vickery, 58 carries, 432 yards. He's got 6 touchdowns and 6 2-point conversions. Ty Vickery is one of the hardest running backs to bring down, and it has shown week after week after week. He was, after all, our week 2 player of the week. Right behind him is going to be Ryan Croston with 38 carries, 417 yards, 5 touchdowns, 11 rushing touchdowns for this PV Laker offense through just 3 weeks of play. These guys are playing Laker football, and that's why they're 3-0. Isaiah Bowles over there in Conneaut, he's got 56 carries for 404 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. St. John's Ryan Williams, 43 carries, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns for the Herald's running back, as he's averaging right around 6 yards a carry. And because of that, the Herald's rushing game is alive and well. J. Anthony Williams, 28 carries, 230 yards. And Nate Bartone, the bulldozer over there at Lakeside, 30 carries, 186 yards, and 1 touchdown. Moving along over to the receiving leaders, and it's Cage Bozar with 7 for 144. You got Ryan Turner over at Conneaut. He's got 10 receptions for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. J. Anthony Williams has got 5 for 116. Ben Schwartfigure, no Z, Ben Schwartfigure, 6 receptions, 100 yards for that young man, 2 touchdowns. And St. John's Gus Petros, 7 receptions, 99 yards, and 1 touchdown for the freshman wide receiver. And our final defensive stat of the night, it's going to be our tackle leaders. Now, before I go through this list, I'm going to take this time to explain, like I'm going to do every single week, how the tackles are calculated on this show. You get 1 point for a solo tackle. You get half of a point for an assist. You get 1 point for a tackle for loss. You get 1 point for a sack. You add those all together, that is your total tackle number. So assists do not count as a full tackle number, which is why you're going to see some of these numbers be a little bit different to what you might think. Leading the pack this week is Denver Kessler from Edgewood. He's got 32 tackles, total tackles for that young man. Conneaut's Josh Sabo with 28.5 comes in second this week. Ryan Turner, when he's not catching the ball, he's tackling. He's got 23.5 over there. Michael Ochoa, he's got 23 from Edgewood. Alden Googe from Conneaut, he's got 23, tied with Ochoa. Conneaut's Devlin Knapp with 20.5 tackles. And Grand Valley's Andrew Soltis with 20.5 tackles. A lot of great football going on this week in Ashtabula. You're going to be able to catch it all right here on ysnlive.com. If you ever have a question, just go over to ysnlive.com, go to live games, and you're going to be able to find them all right there. Every single game that we have talked about on the show tonight is going to be covered. We've got announcers for every single one of them. I'm really excited about that this year. We are going to have more Ashtabula County football streamed than ever in the history of this county with regards to that sport, and that's something I'm very, very happy about. So it's gonna be a fun week. I wanted to thank you guys all for tuning in to this week's edition of the 440 Sports Show. I want to thank Dan Sposito for sponsoring this year. I want to thank the Crow's Nest for housing us this year and providing some of the most delicious food that you're going to find. That's going to do it for this week's show. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam Torres, and this is for the 440.
This for the 440. This for the 440. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the 440 and that goes. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the 440 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcon. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and Connie got flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the 440. This for the 440.